across the world and beyond.
Hi, I am Sarah and we are Talk Divas. I would love for you to meet my friend. She goes by and she is a goddess. And this is Kelz.
Hi.
And this is Brandi.
Hello.
Lovely ladies, we are here together today to talk. What I'd like to discuss today with you guys is coming up December the 7th. There is a book out. It's called I Am Jazz. It is geared towards children. It is illustrated very beautifully. And it deals with the issue of transgender children from the point of view of a young child named Jazz. And so what's happening all over the nation, December 7th, people are getting together to read this book. You can do it in your library. You can do it at your home, the school, wherever you'd like to do it. Just get together. Read this book. You don't have to have a list. I want to talk about this, and this. The book will open up a natural conversation that is just beautiful. And it's a conversation that's just now happening. It's 2017 and we're just now having this conversation. Super exciting. But so I don't know, you guys, moms, do you have kids? Have you heard of this issue? Because I'm just now hearing it in my kids' schools.
Actually, I have a best friend who is a transgender. So I'm able to directly see the struggle, directly see, what transgenders go through. And it is complicated. It is hard. I will say that.
They struggle. There's a lot of suicide happening, a lot of drug abuse. The statistics are just awful. And that's because we're inundated with what is traditional gender roles from the very beginning. And if you find yourself misassigned, what do? You have no one to look to. You have no resources. So this book, I Am Jazz, is a wonderful tool to finally have available for children to say, oh, there's another child? I'm not the only one. And I think it's sometimes that isolation that brings children to that point.
Do you think that the drug abuse and the suicide do you think that's coming from not being able to be accepted? Do you think that's because of the confusion or the conflict that's going on internally? What do you think it is? If you make every person in the world accept whatever it is you feel in the inside, what do you think that would minimize the drug abuse or the suicide? Because at the end of the day, I feel like they're still conflicted internally. So even if we all accept and all gave open love, they're still fighting with something inside. So how do we fix that? How do we help that? How do we help them cope with that?
That's what we're starting to discuss, and I think a lot of it can start small. Like, for example, if your son wants to buy a kitchen set at the store, instead of saying, no, son, that's for girls, why can't we just do away with that and say, all right, I'm going to get you the cook set? Like, your face. Like, that's what's in all of our hearts. Even mine.
Okay, let me play devil's advocate.
Yeah.
I don't come from a generation of that, and I don't understand it. I don't have a best friend that's transgender. I have a son and a daughter. So with me not being knowledgeable in it, I don't want that for my kids. So if everyone's reading it in school and saying, hey, this is acceptable, in a way, for kids that's not like that, do you think that will make them to start to question to be that way?
Right, and that's predominantly what I hear most parents' fears are.
And it's probably the ones that aren't educated in the whole
Right. And what we've learned is that there are brain differences, there are chemistry differences.
Absolutely.
And we're trying to discover, is this a condition of birth? Is this something that you're born with, you have no control? Is it something that you can learn?
That's my biggest question.
We don't really know. And if we don't have the discussion, we never will.
Well, I will
never
say
know.
a lot of those children come from abused backgrounds. They come from sexually abused backgrounds. This person that I speak of been abused by every man in their family.
Okay. Wow.
Literally, like uncles, cousins, all of that. So I feel like I too struggle to I wonder, is it child's trauma? Are you born this way?
Yeah.
I still don't have the answers for that.
Yeah.
But I do know that I think in general we should teach self-love,
Yes.
self-healing, because like you said, it doesn't matter if it was accepted or you know, if you have to live your life according to what's with you and your own, fulfill yourself. You can't just live out, oh, well, they don't like me, so, you know, I mean, regardless, bullying is bullying, and you have to be able to look a bully in the face and say, you don't have no power over me.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So I think that we need to teach them self-love, self-worth, and just to accept yourself versus waiting on someone to say it's okay to be you. Just be you. And if they don't like it, oh well. Right. You know, and I think that's what we need to push. I think in general we push too much codependency in the world, period, where we need to rely on somebody else to feel good. And I think traditionally, as American people, and maybe people all over the world, but I can't speak for them, but Americans in general, I think that we too many times look for outside acceptance. Well, do they love me? You know, do they like me? Who cares? Love you, like you, and what's for you will come to you. You know, me and my best friend has had falling outs in and out, and it wasn't because she was a transgender. You are what you are, and I either don't like it or I love it, and you know, pick a side.
Yeah,
you know
we
what I mean?
falling out about you owe me some money.
Right. Because you're a transgender. So I feel like, you know, oftentimes I think that we try to people that victim role. Like yes, it's okay to feel sorry for it, and it's okay to try to get an understanding. And I understand for not feeling accepted. I mean, I am a black woman in America. However, I still do feel like we need to practice how to love ourselves, and we won't be having conversations about who killed themselves or who doesn't feel accepted or anything like that. That's just my personal take on it.
So I guess it goes to her question as far as like a boy wanted to buy a kitchen set. As a mother, if I say no, is that taking away his self?
Right. There's so many things
because I don't want my son buying a kitchen set.
You dissect like, well, why do you want this kitchen set? You know, what you watching?
You can go in my kitchen and cook if you want. But I'm not buying you a Barbie.
Right.
And does that make me a bad parent in 2017?
I don't think so.
I want that.
I don't think so.
So, do we not have gender roles in America no more? So, are there not things that men do traditionally and women do traditionally, and it's okay because I'm a little old school. I mean, I don't take out trash. My husband does not let me carry my groceries in the house. He does not let me lift heavy things. I believe that as a woman, I have certain privileges and there are certain things that I am entitled to just because I'm a woman and because I bear children. And I believe that there are certain things that a man should do, and you do have to instill those in your sons and your daughters. I do instill in my son what it means to be a man. I allow his father, not allow, that's the bad word, excuse me, not allow, but his father does instill in him what it means to be a man.
Yes.
The only difference for me is, at the end of the day, my son and my daughter are going to be who they are, and that is okay to me. Whether being a man means taking out the trash for dad, if my son, God forbids, no offense, grows up to have those kind of conflicts internally, I hope as a parent I notice those at a very early age. As a parent, you know, I'm sorry.
You know. You've seen the signs.
Right.
Your son is running around in your high heels. Like, you knew that.
Right. So if my son is running around in high heels at 3 and he asks for a kitchen set at 7, I'm probably going to get him the doggone kitchen set.
Yeah, in the book.
Right.
And the book. So that he can understand himself. Exactly.
Yes. I'm not going to try to beat that out of him. At the end of the day, he is who he is. My daughter is who she is. Now, what I don't agree with is this try-it society that we're in.
I don't like that either.
Because everyone's forcing us to accept everything. So now I have to accept 2 men walking down the street, and I have nothing against it. It is what it is, but I have to accept 2 men walking down the street, tongue kissing each other, and I have to explain that to my son. And right now, I'm just not in a place where I know how to explain it, but I'm forced to accept it. Like, I have no options. I have no thoughts. I have no say. I do have a say. I don't. If you can't come and explain that to my son, I shouldn't be forced to explain it to him right then and there. But then they'll say, well, you get to go down the street and kiss your husband. I get that. I get what they're saying. But at what point are we going to stop accepting everything? The next thing we're going to have to accept is what somebody wanting to marry their animal. We're going to have to accept that. I mean,
it ain't far off.
It ain't far. You can't force everything down my throat.
These folks sleeping with dogs.
Now, I wouldn't mind my kids seeing 2 men walking down the street or 2 women walking down the street. because that's them.
Right.
I don't have a problem with explaining to them, hey, this is what's going on, this is the society. But having a book to teach that in school
Definitely
is different to me.
I think the point of the book is to give children who may have any kind of question about this an example.
One more thing I want to say is we got to be careful what we let in our homes and our kids' mind, because a mind is a powerful
It's a sponge.
tool. It is a sponge. And I feel like it's okay, because if you have to explain, hey, this guy, teach your kids at home, people are different. However, we're not going to read a book and indoctrinate you and teach you how to be, and open up that door for those questions and those thoughts, because curiosity kills the cat every time.
And you remember something you saw in a book when you're hanging with your daughter's hanging with her homegirl. Like, wait a minute, I might be, I might be transgender, and it might be something so simple. But because you're self-conscious, remember something from the book.
Read that book if you're at home and you have a transgender child.
I think it's
you see those signs. This is definitely a book you should be reading at home. I mean, yes, as like God has said, teach self-love, self-acceptance, and everything else from me, I hope would fall into play. I'm like you. I don't feel like I have to go out and buy a book and say, now let me force you to accept this, or let me show you what this is. But I do. It exists.
Right.
So
I would want them
have
to read it enough to respect someone that is like that.
Right.
But I don't want them thinking, okay, that might be something I need to look into.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you definitely need to check it out. Or like, if you have a friend that might be a little sweet, and you don't want your kid to pick on that kid, at least if they have a little bit of knowledge, that whenever they're around that child, they won't pick on them. Right. At least they know. But to make a day of it.
The big thing here is like, you don't know what you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. And a lot of us were raised a certain way. Like I talked about in our last segment, I experienced a great deal of racism in the town that I grew up in, and that really shaped me in lots of different ways. And the same thing with the transgender issue. There was a lot that I didn't know about the LGBTQ community until I started volunteering with the Human Rights Campaign in Atlanta. And what I learned is that a lot of individuals in the community, they don't use pronouns like we do. Like, did y'all know that? Like, I did not know that. I did not know that that was a thing. And there are people who don't want to be referred to with any pronoun. There are some who refer to themselves as the opposite pronoun. There are some who refer to themselves as like you're a woman, but you look like a man, but you're calling yourself a woman, and sometimes so it can get confusing. But what we did is we stood in a circle and we're like, introduce yourself and give your pronoun, and that's where I learned about it. I was like, oh, well, I didn't know that it would matter to anybody.
Right.
I would have never thought that if I said, oh, her shoes are so cute, that I could accidentally offend somebody. And I didn't know, and I don't want to offend. Like, everybody knows I'm super polite, you guys. Like, I don't ever want to hurt feelings. And so when I found out that I could have unintentionally hurt some of my LGBTQ friends in the past, I was like, whoa. Right. Because I have a transgendered friend who transitioned to male, and he is now male. And so, it's a hard thing to watch. So it made me sensitive.
Like you said, we don't know. Are they supposed to walk around with shirts? Or, I mean, are they supposed to announce themselves? How?
Well, my mom is a lesbian.
Well, you just ask their name. You say, "Hi, what's your name?" And if
but like an example, because if I'm in a store and like I'm paying for something, I typically would say, "Thank you, ma'am," or "Thank you, sir." Now, if it's and I know it's a chick, but she looks like a boy, I'm always in my head like, should I say yes, ma'am, or yes, sir?
And I want to kind of ping on.
So I just say yes, ma'am, because I know you're a female. So I'm like, I hope I didn't offend you,
but the thing is, this goes back to self-love, and I love my mom. She's a butch. She's a lesbian. I love her. She's crazy. But anyways, I think again, this goes back to self-love. Like my mom, my whole life, I mean, hairy legs, look like a boy. People like, your mom is a boy, you know. My mom never gave a damn about none of that. So my whole thing is that I think that we got to teach people self-love. We have to teach people how to love themselves, how to just understand that sometimes people don't understand. And I think we need to get out of this codependency thing, or rely on other people for validation thing. I mean, we need to really teach at home that you're different, or you're you.
And it's
there's
okay.
people who won't
Right.
accept you, whether you're gay, straight, black, fat,
Right.
white. I don't
No matter
care.
what.
Yeah.
A dog lover, whatever.
We're getting into
It doesn't
that.
matter. You know what I mean? You need to teach people that they're not going to like you. Some people aren't going to like you. Some
Right.
people aren't going to know. And then it's common sense. If you walk around dressed like a boy, but you're a girl, people are going to call you sir. I used to be offended when people call my mom sir. Sometimes I'll be like, that's a woman. Okay? But my mom be like, clearly I look like a guy. I'm dressed like a guy. I sound like a guy. They're going to think I'm a guy. So you have to love yourself. You can't keep looking for these, what do people think? Oh, what do they feel? Who cares? Who cares? Who cares? And that's what we need to teach. We need to teach who cares.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I guess I
cares?
have a question. With you having a lesbian mother, are you
No.
lesbian?
No.
Did she
I'm
raise
not.
you to be all girl and
My mom was a
girly
mom.
and-
She wasn't like, hey, I'm a lesbian. You know, we ain't having sexual conversations.
Right.
What's this woman doing in her bedroom ain't got nothing to do with me.
Right.
So that was my mom. As long as she taught me structure and how to be and what to be, half the time I didn't even know what they were. What was
Right,
Gotcha.
'cause that's
stayed
your
in my
mom.
place at
Right, it's
home.
your
We ain't
mom.
asking them questions.
Right.
It's ain't none of your business.
Right.
So, you know, I think that, again, it's all about the household. It's all about upbringing. And it's all about the self journey. You know, my mom didn't influence anything. Any choices I make is because I chose to consciously make a decision, whatever it is.
Yeah.
We're not going to go into that where the parents gay, so the kids gay. And that's what
That's
people.
what
But that's what people.
ludicrous.
That's
assume.
what people always
It is
assume.
ludicrous.
And again, my response to that is, who cares? I love myself. My mom loves herself. I recommend for people who are transgender or whatever difference you have, love yourself. Stop
Right.
looking for validation from other people because they're not going to give it to you. This society is so flaky and so up and down, and they like this year. You
And
couldn't pay
next
me to wear Converse or whatever, or some, you know, the skinny jeans back then because it was wide legs.
It was white.
Yeah.
And honey, now I be on the jeans, but you couldn't tell me to put them on.
Well,
out
I'm
the
short,
kids.
so
I'm not
I
doing
was
that.
so excited when the skinny jeans came.
Yes,
The boot
yes.
cuts never worked for me. When the skinnies came, like, oh, it
I
can be
can keep
wrinkled
the
up
back of
right
my
here.
jeans intact now. Yeah, they don't get that U-hole
Flaky
in the back.
society. Everybody
Yes.
is gonna be what they're gonna be. They're
Exactly.
gonna like what they're gonna like, and those things change as people's perspective change, as
Absolutely.
you change, as society change and project whatever image they want you to see and
Yes.
believe. So just don't get caught up in the hype. Love yourself.
Love
And
yourself.
folks who don't
That's
like it,
Beautiful, and that's a
are.
good way to wrap it up. Thank you, ladies. This was fun. Yeah.
Anytime. Yes.
TV 1061, conceptualizing your ideas across the world and beyond.